Holy shit, the squirrel just fell out of the tree.
Sorry. That is a great way to open up. As soon as I hit record, Mike Bennett does that.
Boom! Just crushed the sidewalk. Holy cow. He was just laying on its back like this and then just hopped up. That was wild. Okay, sorry.
This conversation has started already the best way possible.
Wild.
I have this whole like open written for Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, who are going to be at AEW Collision tomorrow night, Saturday, September 21st in Springfield, Massachusetts, Mass Mutual Center, AEWTix.com. That's AEWTIX.com for all the details. They'll redirect you wherever you go. But I usually do these big opens. And so Mike Bennett just like, holy shit, there's a squirrel there. Is there a dog with a poofy tail there too?
He's like, no, he fell. The squirrel fell out of the tree, like, and then landed directly on his back. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Did he tuck his chin and is he okay?
He's good though. Yeah, it looked like Mick Foley getting thrown off the top of the cell.
Oh boy. Mike and I actually have that in common. We were both at Mick Foley's Worcester Championship win.
That's right, we were.
But we are here to talk about AEW and Ring of Honor. Tomorrow night, Springfield, Massachusetts, it's AEW Collision. Main eventing, hear that? Main eventing, at least that's what I'm going with, will be a Bunkhouse Brawl match for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship. It's Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, who stole the titles a few weeks ago. They will be taking on, my guess at this time, the future four-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions from Carver, Massachusetts, Mike Bennett. From Derry, New Hampshire.
Hey. D-Town.
Former Ring of Honor champion, officially 174 days, but I recognize the purple rain right over my shoulder. Here for 454 days, which would be 5th all-time in Ring of Honor history. It's Matt Taven.
Hello.
How are you? How are you, Matt?
I'm fantastic. I mean, I don't have any squirrels falling out of trees in front of me, but I'm doing pretty good. It's indoors, so I would hope there's no squirrels inside.
I was hoping for a little bit of a more positive, like upbeat. You know, the Patriots lost. Matt, you were at the Red Sox game last night.
Another loss. So
yeah,
New England sports hasn't been doing very good. That's why we have to come back home and kind of set things straight.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
Ever since the Celtics, all of our teams have kind of gone sideways.
Yeah, I know the Celtics, right? Celtics need to get. We need to get you guys one of these Celtics trophies.
I want one.
So the new Frank Mortos gave you my freedom shirt. They talked me into making it green because of the Celtics. So like it's Celtics colors.
Is that why it's green?
Right? Yeah, it's green. And I was like, I don't know if I could do this, but that's how they baited me into it.
And of course, you can get that T-shirt at shopaew.com.
There you go. Right off the bat. It's out of the way. We're going to be in Springfield. We got shirts. Let's get right to it.
Also, like, hey, this is where we sell tickets right at the top, right? You'll be in Manchester, New Hampshire for Dynamite November 6th, Providence, Rhode Island for AEW Collision at the old Dunk Center on Thursday, November 7th. It's a homecoming for both of you, respectively.
Yeah, we're on this homecoming tour, I guess, right? We hit Springfield and then Providence and then Manchester, right?
Manchester.
And like what's crazy for both of us is that, you know, people always think like Boston or when you go to different states, it's like, oh, aren't you guys from this place or that place? I'm like, I grew up in New Hampshire. I went to school in Providence. I lived in Quincy right afterwards. Like, and from Providence to where I lived in New Hampshire was an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Like it's not that far apart. Like New England is it's a small world. Well, New England's an even smaller world. So it's going to be nice to kind of be back a couple times, kind of coming home to a couple different spots that are old stomping grounds for us.
I feel that way with wrestling too. Like I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts, Carver, Massachusetts, but I spent so much of my life traveling through New England. And like, I feel like I'm from Providence or I'm from, New Hampshire, or I'm from Connecticut, just because I've spent so much time up there, just like every weekend driving down 95 South. Like I just spent so much time up in that area that I feel like all of New England kind of feels like home.
And that's why all of New England hates Connecticut, because when it gets to 2 lanes on 95, it's just so annoying. Why?
I did say I feel like I'm from Connecticut, but I kind of take that back.
Yeah, that's the one state that it's on the border. If you're in New England.
I was being nice.
There's like a little town hall in Connecticut that I used to see a lot of good wrestling matches at. You know, I don't know if that company is still in business anymore, but
was it Bethany?
Yes.
Was it a little town called
That's
Bethany?
where, yeah, that was where Bob Evans used to run. Was it EPW?
No. Bethany for Northeast.
Oh no, not Bethany. Musa.
What is the Bob Evans town?
Musa.
Musa.
Sorry,
Yes. Yes, Musa.
Musa.
Bob Evans, great guy.
I love Bob.
Bob Evans, great guy. You guys also, thankfully, finally got to work TD Garden last March. What was that like for you guys?
Go ahead, because I'm gonna have a longer story, you know.
This is true. Okay. It was great. I mean, I don't know. Just I'm in this place in my life right now where all these things are just really, really cool to me. And so like I'm in a place where I feel like I've been given a second chance and I'm incredibly grateful. So whenever these things come up, I just try to be like, this is really awesome. You know, like Springfield, it's going to be cool just because we get to do it, and we get to do it like as a team. And if you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be working with 3 of my best friends, and then we get to go and I get to go to the TD Garden and wrestle and have a match in front of my family, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. And now I get to do it. So I'm just enjoying the hell out of it.
Yeah, and of course, like being a giant Celtics guy and going there, being there from the transition of the old Garden to the new Garden, it's so wild to me to be able to come back to a spot where I've watched so many wrestling matches, so many different sporting events, and just have spent time in that building with my friends and family sitting in the crowd. And then all of a sudden one day, all my friends and family are in the crowd while I'm in the ring. It's just kind of like a mind-blowing experience. And I had like 40 something people there, where there's certain things that I'll always kind of be grateful for Tony Khan forever. Like he kind of, as I'll always be grateful for Tony Khan, and for 2 things in particular that pop in my mind: Jay Briscoe, everything that he did for the Briscoe family, and when he found out that my 95-year-old grandfather was going to be in Boston, he like made sure we had like a match and stuff. And then he was even like, oh, should we have done it earlier? You know, so you get out of here on time, and like was just so accommodating. And it was like, man, he cared so much about that, like giving me that moment. My 95-year-old grandfather trucked it down from New Hampshire. I could tell after our match he was tired. He was ready to go home. But like, I got to wrestle in front of him in the Garden, which was something, you know, growing up a kid from New England, like that's what you dream about. So Tony like always has I'm a softie for Tony for life after that one. So it was funny because right after the match, I gave the tag belts to Mike, and I was like, I'll be back. And I ran into the crowd, and there's just like these hilarious footage of me like hugging my cousins. My cousins like taking their shirts off and stuff like that, just getting crazy. And it just was a special moment that when all this is done, I'll remember that one for sure.
So what is going on with the Undisputed Kingdom right now?
Let's see. What is it?
You got the tag team title championships. What else is going on?
I mean, here's the thing. It's crazy right now that we're seeing, like, you go on X or whatever, and you see like a year ago today, this happened. I think today was the day that we did the thing with Roddy in the hospital bed.
Yes.
Which is still.
Was that with the giraffe?
I don't think we had the giraffe yet. I think
no, the giraffe doesn't come to the house.
Yeah. So like, I mean, this is some of like my favorite stuff. And like Mike said earlier, if you had told me I would get to do all this stuff with my best friends, I would be like, it doesn't work that way, buddy. But with everything that's happened in the last year and all these different obstacles that have been thrown in our way, from injuries to, and you know, you hear the people say this, all the nonsense that they want to say, because it's just, that's what wrestling fans' prerogative these days, is to
guilty
give their opinion on certain things, which is fine. You know what I mean? But if people knew all the moving parts that happen, and mostly just injuries, which is what happens in wrestling, and the fact that we have been able to kind of continue to roll with the punches and just kind of take anything that's come our way and make the most of it. been almost more proud of this year than anything that we've done, because it showed our ability to kind of stay on task and stay relevant and stay in the forefront when things don't necessarily go the way you think they're going to go. You know, so like right now we got a couple of fellas that are dealing with some injuries, and in the meantime, the Next Strong crew keeps it real. We are looking to get back what's rightfully ours, the Ring of Honor tag titles, and that mustachio messiah of the backbreaker, Roderick Strong, is about to be the FTW champion.
Yeah, I think honestly, like, the coolest story right now of the Undisputed Kingdom is like what actually is going on that the fans don't see. And I think that's like Taven was saying, like, the three of us have just figured out how to deal with whatever gets thrown in our faces and make the most of it and then get better. Like, we all have this ritual where after the show, the three of us hang out and we discuss and decompress the show. What happened? What went wrong? How could we do something different? And just figure out how to do it better. And I feel like the three of us have made each other better in different ways, and not just in wrestling, but in real life, especially in real life. I feel like I've relied on these two more than anyone. I've probably seen them more than anyone. And I think that story is what I love so much about the Undisputed Kingdom. And people are always going to have their opinions. People are like, and they're entitled to them. And I want them to have them. And if you don't like us, say it. Cool, whatever. But for me, like, what's happening with the three of us that the people aren't seeing, it's really cool. It's been a really, really cool ride for me.
I appreciate the look you gave me, Taven, where you're like, what was that question? What was that?
Well, it's just kind of was like, I expected a second sentence. So what's you just kind of like dropped the mic, like, yeah.
So historically, I've done that mistakenly to certain wrestlers, former world champions. So where period, end of sentence, like, huh?
I was like, okay, so all right, I got it.
You talk about yeah.
I was just, what Mike has said from the Next Strong part till right now has been some of the most fun I've ever had, and there's been so many moments like the TD Bank moment that this is the time that I'll look back on. It's up there with some of my fondest times in wrestling in general, so and I think a lot of that comes from things not necessarily going the way that they're supposed to be planned, but still making the most of it. It almost is, I feel more gratified by the whole experience that way than maybe it would have gone originally.
Well, one of the fun things for me as a fan was seeing you guys be part of the closing scene a year ago at Wembley Stadium.
Yes.
That's very cool.
There's a funny story about that one too.
Oh, I'm here for it.
It's just like we're there all the way in Wembley for this one thing at the very end of the show, which is just hilarious in the first place. But right before we went out, there's a production guy, Topher, who's the man. He's the best. He's like, hey, where are you guys standing? And I was like, I don't know. We're going to walk right here and meet Roddy. And he's like, yeah, just be careful because the pyro's going to go off. You might want to stand a little bit further up. And so then we're like, all right, well, we'll make sure we get under the confetti for when we get to Roddy. And so we walk down, and both me and Mike are like, where is that pyro going to go off? Because I just want to make sure I'm not anywhere close to that. We start coming down. We end up hugging Roddy. The confetti's coming down. And for some reason, I don't know if it was just the air in Wembley, the confetti stopped right before us. It was like, what would have made a perfect scene? It was like, just stopped right in front of us. I was like, should we scooch closer?
Come on, let's go. Let's move. I think we were trying to shuffle Roddy forward.
Yeah,
we got to be careful. He had the neck brace at the time, so you got to be careful with moving people with neck braces.
It's true.
You know what I mean? He's recovered from a lot, that Roger Strong.
Neck health is important. You talk about injuries. Do you have an update on Wardlow? Like, is he okay? Is he still part of the Undisputed Kingdom? Like, what's going on with the Wardlow?
I mean, Wardlow's out with a knee injury, and as a guy with plenty of knee injuries in the past, they can be tricky. You know what I mean? Like, you start to think they're one thing, and then you think they're another, and then you think, oh, I can get away with, doing this or that, and it seems to be more serious. So I think he's just trying to figure out exactly what the best kind of treatment plan is to get him back on track with that knee.
And Adam Cole, any update on Adam Cole?
Oh, Coley. It's crazy.
I mean, the internet seems to know everything about Adam Cole, so I figured I'd just ask his teammates about Adam Cole.
Well, here's the funny thing. It's like Cole won't even be online for like weeks at a time, and you'll just go on Twitter and he'll be trending. You're like, what is happening? What did he
always trending?
Did something happen that I don't know of?
I
mean, it's crazy that it's been a year, but again, like he had a pretty serious ankle injury as well. And I think everyone's just trying to make sure that their long-term health is the most important thing, because I've had 4 surgeries. It sucks. And the worst thing to do is come back too early and then need something else to get fixed. I mean, I think I came back a little too early with my original knee surgery, causing me to have to get a part of my meniscus removed altogether. So it's just stuff like that where you just really don't want to rush. And with injury so serious, you can't rush it. You know what I mean? You have to give it its time to heal. So as the internet would like to think that they know Adam Cole's HIPAA, it's a HIPAA violation what they try to say about Adam Cole on the internet. Now, as they try to think that they know they're his doctor or something, but like he'll be back when he's ready. You know what I mean? And that's something I think now at this point of our careers is way more important to me. Where back in the day I'd be like, oh, when are you going to be ready? Now I'm like, don't even tell me. Like, just get healthy, dude. Like, the last thing we need is for you to go out. If you tweak your ankle and you go out again, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? That's the last thing you need. That's the last thing anyone needs. So it's like, it's funny. I think now being so deep into it, I never ask people when they're coming back. I ask them how they're doing.
I just know Adam Cole is like one of the sweetest, nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. And I just want to like hug him and make sure he's feeling better.
Yeah. Yeah. Him and Mike Bennett are too nice.
I totally agree with this. I 100%. Matt, I don't know if you know this story. And Mike, I don't know that you know this story. So when I went over to the Sports Hub, Mike was the first wrestler I interviewed at the Sports Hub.
Oh,
really?
Yes, and you came in studio. You're supposed to come in one day, and Ring of Honor moved your travel around. And you came in like the following week. And my conspiracy was always like, he's good with doing the interview with me, but he just really wants to meet Scott Zolak in person. That's why he made the drive up.
Accurate, yeah. Love it. How is Zoe?
Oh, Zoe's great.
Good.
Zoe's tremendous. But here's the kicker to the story, Matt, is we're in the studio doing the interview, and Zoe comes barging in and says all these inappropriate things that I have to take out of the interview. I still have the raw tape somewhere, but I had to take them all out. And we just had a hoot of a laugh because Zoe comes up and he grabs Mike's bicep. This was
that's right. Oh, yeah.
Grabs Mike's biceps and goes, oh. And Zoe was just like in shock, like, oh, you're actually like legit strong. Like you're actually built like a tank or whatever terminology he used. You remember this, Mike?
I do, because then he started telling me how they do that at the combine when they're shaking the hands of the players. They're like giving them the squeeze to feel their muscle mass.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing. So Mike,
then he proceeded with more highly inappropriate things.
Yes, 100%.
I was like, are we still recording? Cool.
Don't worry, we have post-production.
Yeah.
We're good on that. That won't make it. But Mike opened a lot of doors, and what I noticed was a lot more like Matt, you started following me on Twitter. Eddie Edwards started following me on Twitter. Bob Evans. Like Mike, you opened a lot of doors for me for local wrestlers because I was going to the shows. I'm pretty sure that I saw both of your debut matches for Ring of Honor at BU or at
oh yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And this is why like Ring of Honor is just so important to me, because Ring of Honor, I would go to the shows when Danielson had his long run and McGuinness. And I saw Samoa Joe for the first time there. I saw you guys there. I saw Eddie Edwards there. I saw a wedding proposal there. Do you guys remember this? Were you guys at this show at BU?
Yeah, the one in BU in the case.
Yep, yes, it was. I was standing with Carrie Silkin.
So
and I was there with my dad, and Carrie's like, "Oh, watch this coming up."
Wrestling.
What's that?
I said I was in the crowd, but I think Mike, you had a dark match on that show.
Did I?
think
Okay.
you were in the back.
Okay.
And I was in the crowd. But go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm standing with Carrie, and Carrie goes, "Watch this. This will be a cool moment, right?" So they're going through the proposal, and Carrie leans in and goes, "God, this is taking so long. Like, let's move it along." And Carrie starts walking towards the ring, doing the like, "Hey, let's get this going. We got a wrestling show to do. This is taking too long."
I love it. That's so him.
Yes.
We just saw him the other day, and it's like, man, there's so many people that help you along the way. And what you said about Mike kind of opened the door to a lot of other wrestlers from New England. I mean, that's what he did. Was a guy that was on the indies that was wrestling. We were wrestling different places together. But when he got a shot at Ring of Honor, he was like, hop in the car, we'll go down together. And it was just a matter of time before I got that opportunity. And I think and then you see Kerry Silkin, you see all these different kind of faces that have helped you along the way. And it's crazy to think here we are coming back to the area where it all started. But yeah, Mike was the key master for a lot of guys from New England, helping us get our foot in the door with Ring of Honor.
You guys, yeah, and Ring of Honor is Ring of Honor is just important to me because there was this Ring of Honor community for a long time, and it's kind of disbanded or it's turned into AEW to a degree. If there's no Ring of Honor, it's a little bit harder for All Elite Wrestling to be a thing. And that's kind of my way to transition into during the end days of Ring of Honor, you guys had that great tag team match with the Briscoe brothers for the championships. And it's one of my favorite matches because of how emotional it was and how almost that was the main event of the last Ring of Honor show. So to coin a phrase, chat me up about working with the Briscoes and the relationship that you guys have with the Briscoes.
Oh, you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
I could probably sit here for hours and tell you about.
Please, I've got till 11
about the Briscoes, and for me, I flat out I don't think I have a career without the Briscoes. I don't think I get to where I'm at. I don't think I grow as a professional wrestler. But for me, most importantly, I don't think I grow as a man without having met Mark and Jay. They had a way of literally bringing out the best version of Mike Bennett, not just in the ring, but when I hung out with them, when I was around them. I think Capri said it at Jay's funeral, but it's Jay was he was the man that every other dude looked up to. That was oh, that's a dude. That's a man. That's how you carry yourself. That's how you live your life, flaws and all, because we all have flaws. And so it was that's the way you do it. And then Mark is the same way, the way Mark is with his family, and the way Mark carries himself and brings himself to work and shows up every single day in spite of everything that has happened. Yeah, like I said, I could just keep going on and on, but for me, it's bigger than wrestling what they mean to me. And it will be that way for the rest of my life. It's Jay was someone I looked up to and was oh, I still think about him when I think about how am I going to raise my family? How am I going to raise my kids? What kind of values do I want them to see in me? And I think about Jay and I think about Mark because I value who they are and their family and Papa Briscoe and Mama Briscoe and that, just that community that they have, I value so much. And I bring that home and I'm oh, this is the way you do it. This is the way you bring up a family. You surround them with other family and you do it together. And yeah, I love them. Love them so much. I could keep going, and I'll let Taven talk.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a year from the Philadelphia match that we had with them, which was a couple of months before, maybe right before we got the news of what was going to happen with Ring of Honor. And I remember loving that match like so much because it was such a return to form for both of us. We hadn't been in the ring. We had started to kind of get in the ring together, but Mike had just gotten back. It had been a while since we kind of renewed the rivalry, and we had all these plans going forward. And then all of a sudden, we get the news that we're looking at what could be the end. And when it was proposed to us, like, hey, we're going to do you guys in the Briscoes for the very last show, I was like, if I never wrestle ever again, that's the way I would be absolutely fine with that. And I remember going into that match thinking like, I might never wrestle again. Like that's how I'm kind of going into this match. I remember we hit that crazy doomsday. It was just like nothing felt like anything. I was just so full of just like adrenaline and emotion. And it was just like, we could have wrestled that match for 3 days. It felt like I never wanted to stop, and even after that, we had a wonderful match at the NWA that I always think about as well. And after that match, we all hung out together. We all went to like Dave and Buster's together, and we're all just kind of like, doing our normal stuff, goofing around. And it's something that I always kind of go back to in my mind of like, that's why we do it in general. It was us, the Briscoes and Dalton, and we were just all hanging out, chopping up, reliving the what had happened. We had just things had just wrapped up at Ring of Honor. And out of all that kind of negative, like uncertainty, here the five of us were still absolutely fine and still going forward with our careers. And we were having all these laughs and stuff. And it was like the world didn't end. You know what I mean? We still had each other. So when Jay passed, it was so devastating because obviously it's one of our closest friends, but it felt like we had just kind of recovered and all of us kind of got back to a place where we're like, Tony had bought ROH. We're all back together. We're all at the last pay-per-view, kind of same thing, chatting it up after the show. And it was like, hey, we thought we might never have this again. And here we are, we're back again. So it's a tough one, man. But like the strength of the Briscoe family, to see Mark come to work every day with a smile, to see Britt come with the eighth baby comes strolling through. It's like, wow, like, life goes on, but we keep Jay alive in our memory and our thoughts, and that's all we can do. But that's some of the best moments now of my life are in my mind, you know what I mean? And are hanging out with Jay. And to see the strength immediately after everything happened, and me and Mike went up to Sandy Fort and stuff like that. And it's like, you saw the strength of just Mama Briscoe and Papa Briscoe, and it gave you strength. You know what I mean? It made you want to be a better person, even out of this tragedy. So still to this day, I wear the Jay Briscoe captain band on my elbow pad because, I can hear him, in the back of my mind all the time. Hey, Taven, you know what I mean? Look, it's just... He's a guy that, as much as he's gone, he's still here and always will be. And so it makes all of us that have gone from Ring of Honor to AEW Ring of Honor now together. It's just made us so much stronger and so much closer.
I think that's one of the things that like that's what I love about the wrestling community, and why like I'm such a Ring of Honor person, is because like I'm on the outside of a lot of this, but you guys have been nice enough to connect me and all that stuff. But like the wrestling, like there is a real wrestling community, and it goes beyond like what you see on TV and what happens in the ring. Is that y'all are family, and that's a cool thing. And that's why like I saw Mike is wearing a Briscoe shirt. Is like there's got to be there's an opening somewhere where you guys can talk about the Briscoe brothers and what they mean, because I watched the service and it was very emotional, and the strength that they showed, and I had only met them probably once through the course of my going to shows at Ring of Honor, and they were super nice. So anytime you guys want to talk about the Briscoes, you guys got a platform here.
Yeah, and
I love hearing stories about them.
The craziest thing is that it's not just us. It's every single person wrestling has the same stories about the Briscoes. And that just goes to show you know what I mean? When no one says a bad word about you and everyone misses you in the end and still talks about you like they wish you were here, it's like, man, can you find a better person? Luckily, we still have Mark, which is always fun to kind of get Chicken all riled up and see him with the conglomeration now. I mean, but you know, we'll definitely miss those days, but we keep Jay alive in our memories.
Do you guys generally have favorite matches that you guys have teamed together, whether it be with the Briscoes or whether it be, you know, you guys, there was one time a few years ago where you beat the Young Bucks in LOL, which they probably still hold against you. But do you guys have like favorite matches as a team beyond the Briscoes? Or if it is the Briscoes, then it's the Briscoes.
Yeah, I mean, that tag match, that final battle tag match is always going to be very, very high up there. I think that might be my favorite match we've ever had, just because it was, you know, everything leading up to it, the circumstances of it being the last ROH show in that era, and just like, yeah, that's probably it for me.
And it should have been the main event of that show.
Hey, you know what I mean? It was to us. But
was it really a coin flip, by the way? That was one of the internet rumors that that it was a coin flip that decided who was going on last, Lethal winning the title or you guys and the Briscoes.
No, I think it was always supposed to be, it's always supposed to be the world title. And I think actually that's probably something the four of us said, like, no, what do you mean? Like, the whole title has to go on last. You know what I mean? So it's probably the way we wanted it to be. But that will always be my favorite tag match for sure. But it's funny because the Philadelphia tag match that happened with the Briscoes, the 2 out of 3 Armageddon match that happened in 2015.
Oh yeah,
Briscoes is like plenty of classics. I mean, we've also had, like you said, a lot of good ones with the Young Bucks, and that's something that I'm waiting for one day. You know, there's a story there that AEW has not scratched yet, where the Young Bucks left Ring of Honor in a very tough position. And I dare say there would be no AEW without Ring of Honor. And maybe Ring of Honor would still be going to this day in the form it used to be if you know, the Young Bucks stayed with ROH. So it's one of those things where we've been for almost a decade now. And we had quite the rivalry in Ring of Honor. But the day that it pops up in ROH, we got some bad blood going all the way back to 2018 when they decided to start this whole endeavor. I mean, I'm glad they did, because here I am. But now I'm here to say, hey, remember me? Remember us? Remember what used to happen when we used to lock horns in ROH? So it's one of those things where there's so many teams that we've wrestled, whether it was the post-pandemic ROH or back in the day, that those rivalries are there to come back up at any moment.
Well, and yesterday was the anniversary of you guys beating the Bucks for the tag titles in a 3-way match, I think it was.
Yes, with the Addiction as well. So
I mean, the Addiction.
Yeah. I mean, we have a history of beating the Young Bucks, so I mean, maybe they're holding on to some tag titles now. I don't know. You know what I mean? We're here.
So you guys go to Springfield on Saturday.
I'm just saying.
You guys go to Springfield on Saturday. You wear athletic gear, the Wembley Whites, as I saw in a promo.
Yes.
You win the ROH tag titles back, and then you go maybe you do a run in for Grand Slam or something else, and you get the Bucks and then you've got 4 pieces of gold.
You know, we've won the world titles 5 times in 3 different companies. You know what I mean? And there's one company that we're in right now where we've just never. We've really, I mean, have we even had maybe one title shot? I can't remember.
I don't think we have.
A title shot?
No.
Feels like a Kingdom conspiracy to me.
That we're in right now. You know what I mean? So we're hoping that day comes sooner than later.
That's an itch we'd like to scratch.
Let's scratch it.
Scratch it.
I'll tweet at Tony Khan relentlessly until he gets you the title, because you know that always works, right?
Yeah, they'll get him really mad at us. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't want that. I just want to give him a little like nudge, or let him know. One of the things I want to close with is we were talking about the wrestling community, and Ted Goods is having his final match on Sunday, and it's Sunday, September 22nd. It's a 5:00 bell time. It's a 4:00 doors. It is in New Bedford, Massachusetts. It's the Regional Tech High School. It's 1121 Ashley Boulevard, New Bedford, Massachusetts. Tickets, it's some long Eventbrite link, but I'll put it on my social. It'll be tagged when the video goes out and all that stuff. So you know,
I'm
you
sure
guys will
we
tweet it out
should.
too. But
Yeah.
you guys are scheduled for it. Eddie Edwards, Dirty Dango, main guy, Vincent.
Oh yeah.
Vincent is scheduled for it. So all the horror movie fans, and you guys are horror movie fans too, but you know, Vincent gets to live that out in real life. I love Vinny.
He's a walking horror movie.
Smart Mark Sterling, the most illegal lawyer in wrestling, or the most legal, whatever he calls himself. He's a Worcester guy, right? He's a Springfield Worcester guy.
I don't know. He's an attorney at law, where my attorney is an attorney at law. So that's all I know.
But tell me some good Ted Good stories as we wrap up here. If you have any, you might not.
Oh, we do. I mean,
it might be just a payday for you guys. I get it.
That's it. That's it. That's what it's for me.
For me, it's kind of funny because like we're not at the like I'm not anywhere close to saying like I'm looking back at my career. Look at it back in the distance. Like I have still a lot more to do. I'm young, baby. I'm young. Don't let the look at the backwards hat. But anyway, we're at that point now where like we can get a little nostalgic about some stuff that's happened. You know what I mean? And now we all have to return back home like it's a funeral. You know what I mean? All the kids from New England have to fly home because Ted Goods, we're putting them in the dirt. It's just a crazy thing to think like Teddy, I've known from the very, very start. You know what I mean? Like he's been one of those guys that like has been a constant in New England, but also in my wrestling career since day one. So to kind of see him say like, "Oh, that's I'm calling it a day," I'm like, "Whoa, are we at that point? People are calling it days? Whoa!" But you know, Teddy seems to be happy with what's going on. So the fact that we can all kind of have a big celebration send off, it's really cool. And like I keep seeing the flyer, and it's just like, you know, another New England guy from our era keeps popping up on it. Thrill Ride Jimmy Preston I saw was going to be there. I'm like, I haven't seen Jimmy in so long, so I'm pretty excited. Not just to you know, thank Teddy for everything that he's ever done for me, but at the same time to kind of see all these familiar faces be back in the same place, and you know, sending Teddy off together.
Yeah, I mean, like Taven, like me and Teddy, we literally started at the same time in wrestling in New Bedford for Yankee Pro Wrestling. So I've known him since I was 15, and I don't think they were in that since 15 to 39. I don't think I went a year where I didn't at least see him, you know, and in some years, many times. So like Taven said, it does make you get very reflective where you're like, oh, we're at that time now where we're hanging it up? Because I'm not ready. You know, it's like when all your friends start having kids and getting married and you're like, oh, we're at that point now. And I'm like, but I'm pushing back on this a little. I'm like, no, we'll send Teddy off the best way we can. And, it'll be fun. And like Taven said, we get to go see all of our old friends, people we haven't seen in a while. The New England wrestling community is such a huge part of who I am. You know, like I didn't really have the college experience to make me, you know, to move on to that next chapter of my life. It was always wrestling, but more importantly, it was always the New England wrestling community, especially in those early days, like when I was like 18 or 19 or 20, when you'd normally go to college. I was, you know, hanging out with these people, you know, these guys, these girls. And so I think it's really cool. I think it'll be fun for Teddy. And, you know, I've always loved Teddy. And so when he asked me to do it a million times, I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, I that Zach Bryan song, Pink Skies, the kids in town. That's all I feel about I'm like, we're all coming back home. It's funny. We're all like, when you flying in? I'm like, it's either Thanksgiving or a funeral. Or
he's going to make you sign all the action figures that he has of you guys. You know, that's
right. I'm ready to see. I mean, Teddy's has quite the collection these days. I mean, I know he's got the store and stuff, so I want to see where he's at now that he's hanging it up.
So that's Sunday, September 22nd. Doors at 4. Are you guys doing meet and greets, hugging babies, kissing?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're just going to show up when you're.
All we did was say yeah.
Just hoping
That's
I'm able
dangerous.
to stand after this bunkhouse brawl. Like, I'm just hoping I look halfway decent after this bunkhouse brawl.
Well,
that was the other thing.
You guys will be walking into that New Bedford show as the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. That's a prediction. I do another line, but I don't actually know that to be fact. That's somebody else's gimmick on a different show. But Springfield, it's the Mass Mutual Center. Manchester, New Hampshire, the SNHU Arena, which is a very intimate building. I like that building. Dynamite on November 6th. Providence, Rhode Island, the old Dunk. Thursday, November 7th. AEWTix.com, AEWTIX.com. All the details there. They will redirect you to whatever Ticketmaster, Live Nation, specific box office. Just go to AEWTix. It's all there. Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your friendship. You guys have been important parts of my life, maybe more so than you guys even know. But thank you for all that. And I'm glad that I was very excited when this when I got the note being like, yep, you can talk to both of them in real time. Like, it's awesome. So I'm very happy about that. So thank you guys for your time. And, you guys will win the championships on Saturday. And then, we'll have a whole another discussion and, AEW Tag Team Championships and all that stuff.
We'll come back on to celebrate.
That'd be great. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Jay Stu. You're the man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that more than you know.